Welcome back to Observer AM. Thank you for staying with us. It is exactly 8:15 in Antigua and over there in our sister island of Barbuda. I'm Jacqui Quinn, your host. The IHO Nature Rangers is a youth organization incorporated in Antigua and Barbuda. They are focused on conservation efforts, biodiversity preservation, and making better environmental stewards of our young people. The Nature Rangers are currently on a membership drive, seeking to welcome new members to the group. They are supported by Integrated Health Outreach, IHO, a separate but affiliated organization. We're very honored this morning to have two very dynamic individuals who will tell us all about IHO Nature Rangers recruitment drive. Britney McDonald is the project manager at Integrated Health Outreach, and Kieron Murdoch is the communications and admin specialist at IHO. Good morning and welcome. It's great to have you both back.
Good morning. Good morning. So happy to be here.
Morning. Okay, so let's start by talking about the purpose of this youth organization, the IHO Nature Rangers.
You want me to tackle that, or you want Brittany to tackle that?
Let's start with you, Kieron. You're a familiar face. You're, a familiar voice here on Observer. So let's go with you.
All right. Well, the IHO Nature Rangers, as it says, is a youth-focused and youth-led organization. The whole thrust of the organization is to give young people the opportunity to engage in activities that support conservation. We live in an age where we have to be so conscious of how we treat our environment. We have to be so conscious of what is around us and how we preserve that for the future. And so the whole thrust of the organization is to give young people the opportunity to become better environmental stewards, to engage in activities that assist conservation, to learn, to gain knowledge, which is a very important thing. It's surprising just how far you can get by increasing the knowledge of the upcoming generation. You can improve practices, you can change attitudes by increasing knowledge, and also to develop skills. So to give young leaders the ability to develop certain skills, being a member of a youth organization, developing certain skills, obviously like, taking part in activities, being a part of an organization, participating on committees, learning to manage your time, learning to plan events, learning to execute projects, gaining skills in that regard, and also more skills in terms of an environmental sense. I mean, we do activities such as planting, supporting restoration, and we also do fun activities in terms of going on tours and exposing our members to, different specialists in society who help to educate and sensitize them, and then allowing them to do the same thing, to, make use of social media, traditional media, in order to do their part to sensitize the public. So overall, that's the gist of the organization, Nature Rangers, and we are hoping to see more young people, eager young people. We've been very impressed with the youngsters who we've had in the organization so far, and we'd want to give that opportunity to more young people as well.
Right. And at the time when there's so much negative press about young people and deviant behavior, here is an opportunity to channel the energies of young people into positive activities. Yes?
I would certainly say so. I would certainly say so. And you're quite correct in terms of the sorts of unfortunate headlines we have seen. And I take a moment just to say there that, most of our young people, most of our young people, my apologies, are engaged in exactly what they're supposed to be engaged in, right? They're doing well, they're striving hard at their work. And I think sometimes we don't give them, and I put myself in this bracket as well, yes, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, myself
Yes.
included. We don't necessarily give them as much recognition as we should. So if there's something that is negative going on, well, of course, that has to be covered. We can't avoid that. But many times there may be positive activities happening, and young people aren't necessarily receiving the recognition. And that is something that we also want to assist young persons with, putting them out there, getting them in front of the media,
Yes.
getting them in front of their communities, and letting them see the benefit of taking positive action. Not for the sake of recognition necessarily, but obviously just for the sake of the benefit it has to one's community.
That's right. Now, Brittany, if you could talk a little about that special relationship between Nature Rangers and IHO.
Right? So the integrated health outreach would have supported the training and education of young people at the Paris Secondary School, the Glanville Secondary School, as well as the Antigua State College. And through those trainings, it was that same group of young people who came together and said, how can we come together and create change? We want to be a part of the change, but we also want to be a part of the leadership process and make the difference. And then that will also encourage other young people to be a part of the process. And so integrated health outreach is providing guidance, support, to the organization so that in its inception stages, right, that they can be nurtured, guided, and learn skills and development that will help them in the future and also that will help them in securing long-term funding as well. So, what Integrated Health Outreach has been doing is capacity building trainings, and we actually had one last week, Saturday, that focused on the organization's development, focusing on the executive position. So, what's the role of the secretary? What's the role of the treasurer? So that everyone who's a current member within the organization, since it has grown, there's over 60 members total within both secondary, as well as the college stage, as well as young people outside of school. And so they're learning what are these roles in an organization? How can I function within this organization to share my ideas, to help to execute projects, and to ensure that they are contributing in a meaningful way. And then we've also done some more personal development that focused on decision making because as young people, we want to be able to share our ideas and know that we're making good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we know that we don't make the best decisions all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but we want to find a way to get back on track, right? So, how do I decide my career path? How do I decide, if I'm able to, go to the movies tonight or I'm going to save my money and buy a gift for my best friend? So, these are decisions, and life is a continuum of choices that we have to make. So even within this youth organization, they're learning how we can make those choices, and they also get to do fun activities. So integrated health outreach is supporting their knowledge about conservation and environmental action, and connecting them with other civil society organizations. So outside of IHO, they've also connected with Good Humans 268 when
Mm-hmm.
we've done cleanups, the Fitchers Creek Residents Association, which I lead another project on that area within the NEMA. And so the IHO Nature Rangers are also going to be soon embarking on a project very similar. And they're going to be connecting with the Setons and Glanville's community. So
Mm-hmm.
they're learning how an organization functions, how to interact with the media. We would have had Daniel Attil Jonas, on ABS today and getting those experiences interacting in the public's view. So these are important skills that we're building with our young people and that they want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Now, to the thousands of young people who are listening to this program, who are saying, they're considering what to do with their extra time, their spare time, their extracurricular time, um, who is eligible? Is there an age demographic that you're looking at for the Nature Rangers? Just give us an idea of the eligibility criteria for Nature Rangers, please.
Yes. So for youth, it goes up to 35 in the
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean. So we do have membership that is focused and it's split between our youth that is under 18, and that is where we ensure that the organization goes through the proper uh, steps for consent, parental consent. Parents can also be a part of the group so that they can monitor their children's input or they can respond on their behalf, for example, as well as going from 18 to that 35 group where they can participate in youth action because we understand that within the Caribbean, youth takes a different format than in other countries because of our experience. So we take a bit longer in order to get educational opportunities, experience within our careers. And so we want to give our young people enough opportunity to get involved in these types of spaces. So there is eligibility for our young people who are within the school system still,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be going out into the secondary schools very soon to continue our curriculum training. And then for persons who are above 18, between 18 and 35, this is a great way for you to build your leadership skills, for you to learn additional transferable skills that will be great within any career because you're really learning how to interact with others and
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal development, as well as the management of time and resources.
Mm-hmm. Kieran, you wanted to add to that?
For sure, sure. And that is to say that, when we think of youth, we tend to have I mean, just in the way we conceive of it, we tend
Mm-hmm.
to think often of school-age children and
Yes.
sometimes a little old into your 20s. And then we tend to view that there's like a cutoff point where, I don't know, apparently you're not youth anymore. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and I was asked, do I still qualify? How soon will I no longer qualify within this bracket?
You still have
But
plenty time, Kieran. Don't worry. Okay.
I say that to say that, young adults are welcome to join the organization. We have a lot of leaders in Antigua and Barbuda, young adults who are leaders in terms of environment, in terms of their concern for what's going on in their communities as regards their environment, in terms of their interest in environmental awareness, that they have spoken out on issues, they've taken a stand on issues, they have strong convictions on certain issues to do with conservation, biodiversity, and the environment. And this would really be a perfect organization for such persons to join.
Right. Um, I have a comment on the on the board, and I know this person will not uh, be mad at me for calling them out. Ambassador Davin Joseph is saying to both of you, it's very good that our youths are seeing the need to respect and conserve our limited natural resources, but it is also necessary that the youths also focus not only on conservation but also the sustainable use and development of these resources. Conservation by itself is detrimental to biodiversity. I don't know if you want to take up the point raised here by Ambassador Joseph.
Right. So I think in terms of if my interpretation of the comment is correct, that it's looking at it from a multifaceted approach. And that is what the organization is able to do when it's connecting with youth, because we're able to build the knowledge base of our young people. And while we're saying that we're focusing on conservation, we're also looking at sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
collaborative social accountability. And even myself, as a representative of the Caribbean Regional Youth Council that focuses on the entire region, we are able to then connect with other young people across the different Caribbean countries and attend different conferences where we're able to share our knowledge, our opinions, what's happening on the ground on a local level. And
Mm-hmm.
that has implications for the policies that the regional organizations take into account. So, for example, connecting with the OECS, connecting with the Caribbean Development Bank.
Mm-hmm.
These are opportunities then that by being a part of organizations such as the IHO Nature Rangers, that they're able to get exposed, and the exposure is the key part as well, to the breadth of opportunities and the other elements of issues surrounding our environment. And I think even to point that I saw an article about the reemergence of ICT Fest.
Yes.
And so the interconnectedness of technology with the environment. So there's looking at spatial mapping in our wetlands areas, for example. Because if we can't see what is taking place in the environment, how can we protect it?
Yes.
If we don't, if we aren't able to do the bird watching and looking for the counts of the West Indian whistling duck, or if we don't see that there's depletion in certain parts of the mangroves or of a particular species, we're limiting how we can affect any type of change. But you still, at the core, need to provide educational opportunities for young people to build these skills.
Mhm.
Because without that, they won't know what is sustainable and what is not.
Mhm. If we could speak to how the nature rangers have impacted the community and the country as a whole in the past, and your projections going forward.
Mhm.
Kieron?
Well, certainly. And I would also invite Brittany to jump in. I would say that the nature rangers have been involved. Specifically, I would say so far in two respects in terms of awareness raising,
Mhm.
getting the word out there and raising awareness, not just among young people, but also amongst the population at large about certain issues in relation to biodiversity, particularly as regards the Northeast Marine Management Area, which is a particular focus for the organization. It's the largest protected area in Antigua and Barbuda. So there's a lot that's been done in terms of raising awareness, that outreach, reaching other young people, just to improve their knowledge, improve their awareness, and to help combat a lack of knowledge that tends to contribute to poor decision making when it comes to how we manage and deal with our environment, even on an individual level. We've also taken part in terms of mangrove restoration. That is something that the Nature Rangers have been very active about as well. And again, much of that has focused on spots within the Northeast Marine Management Area. Um, so these are some of the ways that we've been making an impact, and those are some of the opportunities that persons who join the organization are going to have. I'd also invite Brittany to jump in if she wants to.
Brittany?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Karen. So, in addition, we will be having a segment within youthology where, again, giving that cross knowledge, cross skill building, where we'll have young persons from the Nature Rangers participate in a segment on Fridays, as well as it's being co led with one of our Nature Rangers, Mr. David Athel Jonas. So, I think that's also a very powerful way where we'll be able to continue the conversation outside of the ones that we've had thus far. But just to strengthen the point that Kieran would have made in terms of connecting with our young people and being able to give them an opportunity to do other activities, to be meaningfully engaged, and to be able to connect and see what other young people are interested in, as well as to connect with persons older than them so that they're able to see if I take this particular path,
Mhm.
this is how it will lead. Because we need to have realistic role models,
Of
right?
course.
You can't have celebrities all the time, and life is not always a party or you're going to get your way all of the time, right? So being able to interact with real people and not just staying in your tablet or on the computer or watching a reality TV show and seeing the world outside is one of, I think, the biggest benefits that the organization has for our young people, and making sure that they're able to understand the beauty that we have here in Antigua and Barbuda. I think if you just stay within your community alone, you know that yes, it's beautiful, you understand what you appreciate about it, but why do we have so many tourists coming to our islands? For that nature component, for that ecotourism. So if we are not taking advantage of it and understanding what we are protecting and why we should protect it and how to uh, be able to contribute, because eventually the people at Ministry of Environment, they're going to retire and we're going to need new
Yeah.
people, and that's going to come from our young generation. And so the greatest impact that I see for us is that prevention of brain drain and being able to take pride in our beautiful Twin Island state.
Which your last comment leads me to my next question, which is why is it important to make better environmental stewards of the next generation?
Yes, well, for that very reason, because if we are not the ones leading the charge,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be told what to do by external parties who lack the local knowledge, the cultural history, and understanding of how we interact with our environment. For example, there would be a lack of knowledge of how our fisher folk interact with particular bays,
Mm-hmm.
especially within the NEMA, within the point area at our wharf. And so they can make any type of determination, right, without proper stakeholder engagement, and they can share that on a national level, and decisions are then made that don't necessarily align with local use and community
Mm-hmm.
use. And that is where we're seeing any kinds of gaps in terms of development. And so as we continue to grow, we want our nation to grow, to expand, of course, but we want to do so with environmentally sound management and best practices.
Mm-hmm.
And there's absolutely no way that you can do that without involvement of the community and making sure that the individuals who are then the experts or the professionals come from our communities. So that's one of the most important reasons I would encourage parents to get their young people involved in an organization like the IHO Nature Rangers, or even with our partners, Good Humans 268, because some persons may be involved, for example, in waste management instead, or the Environmental Awareness Group, which is another partner and organization that's been doing environmental work as well, so that you're able to choose a career path. You could be a marine biologist, you can be an ecologist, you could be a wildlife photographer if that is your particular niche. And there are persons who do get paid well for these positions, and they can seek employment even at an international level to do work within the Caribbean region as well as their home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the biggest benefits in terms of looking at opportunity for our young people to thrive.
Kieron, I know you wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the environmental stewards of the next generation. Please go
Yes,
ahead.
I wanted to say that it's also very important so that there is an ongoing awareness so that you don't necessarily have a gap in what is a necessary level of awareness throughout different generations as to how to treat with certain matters. Sometimes you find as you observe, what tends to happen, not just in Antigua, but in many places around the world is that from generation to generation, we tend to forget how much we have lost in terms of whether it be biodiversity, whether it be pristine habitat. And so, for instance, just as a crude example, in generation one, you have, let's say, 5 acres of pristine forest. And you say, okay, well, look, we're going to use X%, we're going to conserve X%, and we're going to use up X%. Generation two then comes and use what's left, and they do the same equation.
Yes.
Okay, so we have now 3 acres, and we're going to conserve X%, and we're going to use whatever percent. Then generation three comes, and they use again what's left. We have 1 acre, and we're going to use X%, and generation four comes and says, okay, we have half an acre,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to use up X%, and we're going to, and it's a danger to not maintain a long view,
Mm-hmm.
an ongoing intergenerational awareness of what there is, how much damage it has suffered, and the need to preserve what you have left. So I think that's why it's also so important to make better environmental stewards of young people so that they can be so aware of the history of their environment, not just a general need to preserve things, but historically, where have you come from? Where are you now? And in that context, why is it so important that you are able to better manage your resources?
Excellent, excellent. How can people sign up? How young people who want to become nature rangers? How do they sign up? How do they learn more about this excellent organization?
Well, I would say, well, I shouldn't say I would say, we would say, the organization would say, um, to stay tuned to our Facebook page. If you simply go on Facebook and you type in IHO Nature Rangers, you'll get our Facebook page. And if you look at our post, you'll see our link, which will take you to our sign up form where you can put in your information, very simple form, name, age, so on and so forth. If you're a person below a certain age, it'll ask you for your parents' contacts and things like that. But once you fill out that form, we will be able to get in touch with you. We'll be able to see that you're interested, invite you to our activities. Also, stay tuned to that page for any activities that we're going to be doing because we do regularly post if it is we're having a virtual event, an in-person event, something educational, something active. You can see it right there on our Facebook page. So persons are encouraged to go to Facebook and search IHO Nature Rangers. You'll see our Facebook page. And if you just browse our Facebook page very quickly, you'll see links to join, you'll see posts about activities that we're doing, and you can generally stay abreast of what's going on.
Excellent. And Brittany, I'll give you the last word.
Thank you, Jacqui. So just to reiterate that this program and this organization started with youth action. And so it is led by youth, and integrated health outreach is providing support and guidance to the organization so that it can thrive, particularly in its inception phases. And so it is an opportunity for our young people to connect not only with environmental stewardship, but also to connect with other young people so that they have and build that camaraderie, understand working within a team. We actually have an upcoming training that is open to the public for the organization's development further, and we're focusing this Saturday on planning activities as well as creative thinking. And so, how do you think outside of the box? When you have limited resources, how do you budget? So those are some of the things that we'll be discussing in our Saturday meeting. So as you go to our Facebook page for the IHO Nature Rangers, you'll be able to sign up and attend that training on Saturday so that you can connect with the Nature Rangers who are members, but also gain from it as well. And just to note that we're seeing so much in the news currently about our young people. And I think that this is a great opportunity, a great avenue for them to explore being a part of the IHO Nature Rangers and civil society on a whole, because this is how you can positively impact your community and be a part of the change that you want to see. And I would encourage as well for the parents to encourage your young person to be a part of the IHO Nature Rangers and organizations very similar, because that is where they're able to build their skills, and you're encouraging the next generation of Antiguans and Barbudans into not only environmental stewardship, but also through their career path, and they're able to see what they're interested in order to be comfortable with being a productive member of society. And so this is one of the great avenues and ways that we can do this great work.
Well, we want to thank you so very kindly, Britney McDonald, Project Manager at Integrated Health Outreach, and Kieron Murdoch, the Communications and Admin Specialist there at IHO as well. Check out the Facebook page of IHO Nature Rangers and become a part of this great organization that is about preserving our environment and conserving and of course biodiversity. Everything that Brittany and Kieron has said today, I think it's a brilliant way for young people to get involved and to divert some of that great energy, that enthusiasm and gusto into positive activities. We're going to take the break, and when we come